it's Greg here with MaritimeGardening.com. It's early June 2025 and it's time for another garden tour brought to you by my sponsor, Beets Seeds. Let's go have a look around. So here we are at the entrance of the garden. I got potatoes growing along here with the heavy mulch. And under here I've planted pumpkins. You can see they're just starting to emerge. I maybe planted them 5 or 6 days ago. I prepared the soil here by just putting a couple shovelfuls of horse manure, mixing in a little bit lazily, but you can see that you can sort of see the horse manure texture of it. So I find squash is what they call a heavy feeder. It needs lots of nitrogen, and so it never hurts to add a little bit of horse manure where you're going to grow the squash. In the garden here, I've finished converting this part of the garden to more of a perennial bed. I mean, I got a compost thing here. I've got that bloody dock growing there. But along the edge, I've got Saskatoon. This is also a Saskatoon, I think. Lovage, oregano, and these aronia berries. So, and it's heavily mulched. So there's that. That's all done. Here I got the center garden. I got tomatoes with spinach around the edges. In retrospect, I wish I'd planted the spinach even right up against the rocks. I wish I'd done that. It's sort of in the wrong place, and it affected my options for planting the tomatoes. My tomato transplants, geez, I think I moved them out a bit too early. They're kind of suffering. Now, part of that is we had a windstorm out here and I had a bag of leaves and they rolled over this and broke a lot of my tomatoes. Literally, the stems were broken. And so, so I sort of tipped them over and replanted them so the break in the stem was underneath the ground, hoping that would fix them. Because these are really good hybrid potatoes from tomatoes from Beets, so they're supposed to get really good results. But my goodness, they've had such a hard life so far. You can see this one here is that's broken. Yeah, that one didn't seem to recover from the break. Maybe it will. Who knows? And these are a different variety that also seem to be doing poorly. But you know, sometimes you plant. I mean, it's just been cool. Like, I think it was 7 degrees Celsius last night. So, I mean, cool nights, these things don't like that sort of thing. But maybe they'll spend a couple weeks adapting and then they'll start growing okay. It's common when you're planting transplants in this part of the world that they just stall out for a few weeks and then they pick up later when things warm up. So that's where we are with that. You know, it's kind of a shame because I always think of this garden as sort of like the centerpiece. Everything's supposed to look awesome here. It's the first thing you see when you walk in. So, worst comes to worst, I can buy new transplants. Right? These are the ones that started in the window of my house in April. So, you know, kind of partial to them. Over here I got kale growing down the center. I had spinach on that side. That's all gone now. And, geez, I planted lettuce all the way down this side. But for some reason, only this lettuce came up. Isn't that odd? Anyway, these have to be plucked out and spaced out because they're too close. Same with the kale here. The kale needs to be thinned and spaced. The ultimate plan is for this bed to just have kale in it. Because this lettuce will be done, I don't know, sometime early July, it'll bolt, right? So the kale will be distributed throughout this garden. But there'll only be a handful of plants, maybe 16 kale plants in the entire bed, right? Because they need lots of room. Each kale plant needs almost a 2-foot square space once they get full size, maybe a little bit less. Over here we got artwork broccolini. These are ones that I started in my driveway. I kind of have like a poor man's greenhouse in the garden. That thing I showed earlier that I was growing pumpkins under. So I just have one of those in the driveway with some cell packs underneath it. And I planted all my cold hardy greens in that. I'll show you a few more as we go through the garden. It's a way I should have made a video on this, but I didn't. Been busy this year. It's a way of avoiding pest damage when they're young. I find these some of these brassicas, when they're young, and they're just so beset by pests that it's hard to get them started. So I thought, what if I grow them in my driveway, which is like basically like, you know, it's asphalt, so it's kind of dead, right? There's no pest there. It's pest free. It's like a desert. So it seems to have worked. These have been here for a couple weeks now. They're doing great. Over here we got beets, looking pretty good. Well, you know, when they get a little more size, I'll thin them and mulch. We got parsnips here, need to be thinned still, but they're doing okay. My kids just, I mean, everything looks pretty good today, but there was weeding that needed to be done, so my kids did that yesterday in this bed anyway. Over here we got some green. I don't know if this is Brussels sprouts or collard greens. They look the same at this stage, at least to me, so it's one or the other. These are ones I started in the driveway as transplant. Okay, so these need to grow a little bit more before I mulch this bed. I also have Swiss chard here. I had them growing. I planted the seeds underneath another one of those sort of like mini greenhouses, right? It's a tiny 2 foot by 2 foot dome. So you can see them growing. They need to be plucked up and spaced out throughout the bed. It's like these ones here, same spacing. We're for half of a bed, which is roughly a 4 by 8 space. We've got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15. Like 15 in a space like that. That's the kind of spacing they need. You think more plants, more stuff, but really it's big healthy plants are the best in my opinion. Over here we got garlic growing great. We've got peas climbing the trellis here. On the sides I've got potatoes planted the way I've shown in videos in the past. This is last year's kale. Survived the winter, so I decided to let it go to seed, because I'm using kale seeds from like 2019, so I thought it was time to save some more seeds from my own variety. So that's what this is. Over here I got beans planted down the middle. I don't know if they're up yet. They're starting to come up, yes. I'm gonna have to put some slug bait down. So the beans are gonna climb up this trellis. Vortex pole beans, they're just starting to emerge. I think we got a cool night tonight. We got a cool night tomorrow. When I say cool, I mean in the single digits, and not like 9, but more like 8 or 7. But then after that, we're in the double digits Celsius overnight. So warm times ahead, right? I haven't decided when I'm going to plant on the sides of this yet. I should sort that out soon. This is carrots. You can't see them, but you get in really close, you can see the carrots, right? So we got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 rows of carrots in this nice big bed. They'll have to be thinned probably in July so that they grow properly, but they're coming along great. Had no issues with carrot germination this year, just perfect like clockwork. Sometimes you get it right, sometimes you don't. There's been years I had to replant carrots 3 times. I usually plant carrots when I see the yellow dandelions on my lawn, but some years, I don't know if the pest gets to them or a problem, but this year they've all come in just great. Nothing planted here yet. This is going to be peppers. I still haven't planted out my peppers. I still think it's too cold. Look at the state of those tomatoes. I'm not doing that to my peppers. And I got peppers and basil indoors. I don't want to stress them, so I'll wait. This is cucumbers. You can see I put some horse manure down. God knows how many weeds are going to come out of that. But you can see the did I say peppers? I meant cucumbers. Cucumbers are coming up. A little bit of slug damage. Got to get some slug bait down on those. But this will be, I'll have a trellis down the middle here. And I got dill on this side, parsley on that side. Down here, this whole edge or corner here will be pumpkin. Pumpkins are underneath this little dome. You can see they're already emerging. I got 3 there, but only one of those will end up taking over the space, right? You just pick the biggest, strongest one and cut the other ones off. You can pluck them out and move them somewhere. I can do that. We'll see. Here I got my raspberries that I staked this year, and that strategy seems to have worked. I mean, think of all the years I've struggled with raspberries. So I can move them away from the fence. I've got a secondary fence to prevent juvenile rabbits from getting in and wrecking everything, as they are want to do. And I also stake them, because I find with this little fence they move around in the wind and the edge of the fence damages them. And all of that seems to have resulted in some healthy, good looking raspberry plants. Because I just grow these, all my berries, well, not all, but almost all. I grow them for jam. So we're gonna have some nice raspberry jam this year. I got onion sets down here, Styrian onions under mulch. Strawberries here. Every year I think the strawberry bed is done, and every year it keeps giving me strawberries. So who am I to argue? I mean, look at all the flowers. I'm gonna have a lot of strawberries. So I'm still not, I mean, the longer you let your strawberry bed go, it seems like the more, it's very hard to weed strawberry beds without destroying the strawberries. You can see there's a whole section here where I pretty much had a lawn, like a field of grass growing. And I just had to take everything out. Anyway, we still got lots of strawberries here. So for another year, we'll keep growing strawberries. This bed is going to be zucchini. I just planted them yesterday, the seeds. So early days with that, but this is what I do every year. I got some of them under these domes, some of them not under the domes. We'll see what happens. Big old garlic bed, doing great. This bed is different types of green onions. A little competition, sets versus seeds, right? So I got, this is a green onion set, and these are seeds. These seeds were planted a good month before the sets, and they've not caught up. But I mean, they're coming along, you know. When you grow onions from seed, they grow so slowly at the beginning, right? It's a very, you can see why people like sets, because it's just a little more instant gratification. They start growing in a week, and you know, in about 3 weeks they look great. Whereas these, you almost need a magnifying glass to see them in the early stages, right? Anyway, they're coming in okay, right? So we'll see how that goes. My long-term plan was to actually plant the basil in here, but I thought these onions would be much further along. So I don't know what I'm going to do with this bed. If I'm just going to keep it like this, or remove those pieces of cardboard and plant the basil in between. I don't know. I need a space for it. Pond, we had a massive amount of rain a couple nights ago. I mean, 4 inches of rain in one night. So the pond was actually clear and looking pretty good. And then with all that rain, it just washed all this clay back in. It's going to take forever for it to settle out. But believe me, there are fish in this pond. They are very happy. You just can't see them. I drained the pond a few weeks ago because I couldn't see the fish, and I just wanted to make sure they were there. So I drained the pond. Should have made a video of that, I guess. Just used a siphon, drained the pond, and then filled it up using my well. And yeah, there's like a good dozen goldfish here of all different sizes, even really tiny ones, which is evidence that they are breeding in here, breeding and eating their children. So, well, we just won't talk about that. Over here I got, this is either collard greens or Brussels sprouts in this bed. I've had trouble growing things in this bed in recent years. Last year I grew potatoes in it. It grew pretty well. The year before I tried to grow beets, and they grow really poorly. So I ran on the assumption that the soil was acidic based on some reading I did. That's why I grew potatoes. Now this year I put some lime in, and I mean, I want to grow the same thing every year, so I decided to try these, whatever they are. They're doing okay. They could be a little greener. They could look a little stronger. When they get a little more size, I'll mulch this. There's a bit of pest damage. I haven't really applied anything to these. So we'll just see how she goes. This bed, not planted yet, but this is going to be winter squash, Georgia candy roaster. Yesterday I hoed it all up and put this paper down to keep this. There's a weed in here. I can't remember the name of it, but it's just unbelievably bad weed. I can't seem to get it under control. So it's a kind of climbing, what is it? It's like a morning glory. It's related to, or looks like morning glory. It just goes everywhere. The rhizomes are everywhere, and it just keeps coming back and coming back and coming back. And it's been in this bed for years. Anyway, I'd come up with the plan of planting the squash, but it took me so long to layer all this leaf bag stuff down. This is all I did. So all I'm going to do today or tomorrow is just, you know, maybe 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, maybe 9 plants, and cut little squares out of the cardboard, put a little bit of horse manure down, and put the seeds in that. And that should germinate in about a week. Hopefully we'll have a good squash garden here. 2 years ago I tried growing squash here and the results were really poor. So I've added horse manure to the whole thing last year and grew something else here. Whatever I grew here last year grew really well. Wish I could remember what I planted. And I'll put it up on the screen. So anyway, I thought maybe this is the year. Also by adding a little mound, everywhere I put a seed, I'm going to add a mound of horse manure to really, you know, give those plants lots when they're starting off. Hopefully that makes a difference. This bed, I can't remember what I'm going to plant here. Something. I just prepared this yesterday, so it's nothing planted here yet. Asparagus gardens look kind of sparse and pathetic, as usual. Still have not solved my asparagus equation. Forget about that for now. Over here, now we're into the fruit garden, right? I got the grapes coming in good. Lingonberries flowering, but I've still never had a lingonberry harvest. Strawberries are looking fantastic. This year I expect to get, I think I planted these just last year, so this is year 2. I'm expecting great things from these strawberry plants. Already looking pretty darn good, right? I got 1, 2 beds, and I have a third bed over here, which I started using runners from this bed last year. So, I mean, we got some strawberries. This year it's not going to do much, but next year this will be a good bed, I assume. This bed here I got potatoes planted under leaves. You can see they're starting to emerge. Right, planted those maybe a month ago. They're just coming up now. All the blueberries are flowering out, looking good. I don't have that there for any reason. That's just there. Bit of a problem with one of my apple trees this year. This apple tree, I guess the light right. This apple tree looks dead. I mean, it produced blossoms, but it never got leaves. Now it was fine last year. I don't know what the heck's going on. It's possible it'll be fine next year and it's just sort of taking a year off. I don't know. Or it's dead, right? I don't know what's going on. So, yeah, I'm just going to leave it and see what happens next year. Now, I'll know by the end of the winter, because if it's dead, the branches won't have any green in them, right? The branches will be brittle. So we'll just see. I mean, this is one of my older apple tree. This is a Sweet 16. Really looking forward to getting these apples. But as of right now, it looks done. I don't know what happened to it. So we'll just see. Pear tree's leaving out great, looking good. And my other apple tree, I can't remember the variety, but this one's looking really good. This was just planted, I think, 2 years ago. So this is year 3 for this apple tree. No blossom this year, but I expect a blossom next year. But if that tree's dead, I still won't get any apples. I'm just cursed when it comes to apples here. Over here, Haskap berries, lots. Lovage coming in good. Lots of Haskap berries here. Over here, Saskatoon, lots of berries. You can see they're starting to form. So this will be my first year with what looks like enough Saskatoons to make a jar of Saskatoon jam. Looking forward to that. Another thing I did this year, you can't see, but I got one of those wine cap mushroom kits, and I put mushroom spores in the wood chips beneath all my apple trees. So if everything works, in the fall, I should have some mushrooms growing here. We'll see how that goes. Anyway, that's where we are, early June 2025. Lots of stuff going on, lots of stuff to do. In fact, I'm getting a huge 8 cubic yards of wood chips delivered to my driveway today that I'm going to have to do a lot of shoveling to get into the garden and various parts of the property. It's work for my teenagers, hopefully. I mentioned in a previous video that I've got a wood chipper. That wood chipper had a catastrophic failure, and now it is just a $750 piece of steel residing in my garage. I've got an article all about that if you want to know the details. And just it's called like is it worth buying a wood chipper? And it's on the potential return on investment on a wood chipper. I don't think I'm selling that article very well. Probably not the best title in the world. Anyway, check that out. I'm in the process of removing the paywall from the articles on my Substack page. Just changing my approach to writing Substack articles. I still hope people become paid subscribers. There are still going to be, like, the installments in my book are behind a paywall. Everything else is going to eventually have no paywall. I'm hoping people still become paid subscribers voluntarily. So instead of holding all my content hostage, I've decided to just let everybody read everything, and hopefully people out of the goodness of their hearts, if they're feeling generous, will subscribe for just 1 month. I think that's $6, or for an entire year, which I think is $30 or something like that. Anyway, I hope you found this video interesting. If you did, please like, share, subscribe. Check out my podcast, maritimegardening.com. We just did a podcast with Robert Pavlis about potted plant myths, things people believe about growing plants in pots that are erroneous. So always good to talk to Robert about garden myths. He's also I'm going to have him on in a couple months, I think, to talk about his book on food science for gardeners. I'm looking forward to that as well. Lots of people have lots of opinions about food and what's healthy and how to get shredded or thin or whatever you're looking for. It'd be interesting to get Robert's take on that as a biochemist. I'm looking forward to that discussion. Don't forget to check out my sponsor, Vessi Seeds. Use my coupon code GAVS25 to get free shipping on your orders. More details in the description box. Little thing at the end of this video plugging that. Other than that, until next time, get out there, get at it, have fun in your garden. Thanks for watching.